It's about 11:31 this morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning for our weekly men's basketball press conference featuring New Mexico State head men's basketball coach Chris Jans. Coach Jans split up in Seattle last week. The defense came to play on Saturday night, so just kind of talk about the week that was and bring us forward ahead to this week against our two remaining quote-unquote home games against Utah Valley here in El Paso.
It's not what we were looking for, not what we were hoping for. We went up there to get our first series sweep of the format this year, and unfortunately didn't play well enough on Friday to have a chance to win the game. In the end, wasn't close. We never really had a fighting chance in the second half to put ourselves in position to get it to a one-possession game. Just Friday night, Saturday morning was a tough time. At least it was for me. I'm not sure, how the players felt about it, but just was severely disappointed with the outcome, with our effort, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And eventually you got to pick yourself up off the mat, and with the quick turnaround, you can't be in a depressed state of mind with your team, and you've got to stand in front of them and give them some life and try to lead the way to figure out, how we can salvage a split. And eventually we got there, and basically it was, okay, one thing we can't control is our response to Friday. And, how are we going to respond? What's our choice going to be individually and then eventually collectively on how we played Friday, and we're going to do something about it. And so definitely was happy with their response. But, our issue now is figuring out how to just play better all the time. We can't sustain a level of play right now that we're accustomed to, and it's showing up in the loss column, and we've got to fix it ASAP.
Chris, I'm going to guess you were surprised. You talked about the effort. I thought the second game, I'm in Texas last week, was like a launch pad. It just looked like things clicked, and you were finding things that worked. It sounds like you were pretty surprised the way you came out in the first game.
I was highly surprised. I had gotten asked, I think after the game last Saturday or Monday, how our team would respond to the momentum that you could all see and how we played Saturday. It felt familiar, and it was a great feeling, and I felt good inside. And we had 2 really good days of practice, like old school practices, energized, intensity, physical, and the guys felt it too. And then the day before Seattle, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, if I knew why, I'd fix it. We just almost had an arrogance about us, and like we just, not that we had this self-assured confidence that we were going to win, more like, we're the Aggies, we're going to win this weekend. We got to figure it out now. And I stopped practice in the middle of it and addressed it, and then we addressed it more heading into the game. And the first half was, to me, like an AAU game. There wasn't much defense going on. It was back and forth, and no disrespect to any AAU programs or coaches, but those tend to be more offensive-minded games for the most part until you get to the, semifinals and finals and people are trying to win a championship. But it was just, wow, where is this at? And we talked a lot at halftime about it and trying to, reestablish ourselves. And we just, games can change quickly, and it's hard to get them back, under control. And so I'm not sure why that happened. But I don't know, another lesson learned, hopefully. We got to figure it out soon, because the opportunities are dwindling.
Coach, I guess how good was it to see at least him come back the next day and kind of respond to that adversity from the previous game?
And yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the first half of your question.
How good was it to see them bounce back on Saturday night after facing that adversity on Friday night? And I guess you've done that twice now, Cal Baptist and out here against Seattle. So how good is it to see at least a bounce back mentality?
Yeah, I mean, it's a positive, but the program that we built and what we're accustomed to, I mean, that better be our response. And I'm not poo-pooing it because it could be worse. They could have not responded, you know, and we could have got beat twice in either one of those weekends. So that's a good sign, but that's just not enough. It's not enough for myself, my staff, the players that have played here, their fan base. I know it. We all know it. Our players know it. They're not happy. And, you know, it's a funny game and momentum's tricky. And we've got to figure out how to play better Friday. You know, I don't want to be in that position again. We're finding ways to try to figure out how to motivate them to you know, play better on a Saturday. And, you know, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it's going to be really hard this weekend because from watching the video I've watched so far, I mean, Utah Valley's really good and much better than I think everyone anticipated. And they're playing at a high level and they're playing very physical brand of basketball.
Coach Johnny McCants got back in the starting lineup after coming off the bench the past 2 games, I believe. Just what led to that decision and how do you felt he handled being back in the first unit?
Well, guys that have really followed us know that, you know, starters around here don't mean that much to me. It might mean something to the fan base and, you know, that, but for us, we fiddle-faddle around it most years. Most of the time, we don't really have a set starting lineup. You know, sometimes we get into a groove in January, February, and we do, but, you know, it doesn't feel like January, February this particular year. So a lot of different factors go into that. You know, the old saying is more important is who's playing and when it's hard, you know, who's playing when the score's close and who's playing in the end of the game if it's a close game, which is the most important thing. So, you know, different factors led into switching it up, but it had nothing to do with how anyone played or didn't play. It was just something we decided to do.
Chris, no matter what it feels like, it is mid-February, and here comes a conference tournament. Are you more geared now to 3 days in Vegas? Are you geared to getting your team in a mindset, because it is totally different this time around?
Yeah, you're right on. I mean, you're spot on. I hate that mantra. I hate all that matters is 3 days in March. It's the antithesis of what we try to do around here every day. I mean, I can't stand it because for us and for me and what I think is best is we try to treat every single game like the Super Bowl in terms of how we prepare, how meticulous our preparation is, how we try to get our players focused on the task at hand each and every day, every film session, every pre-practice situation, every practice, obviously, and certainly leading up to the game. They're big deals to us, every one of them. And we're trying to win every one of them. But, you know, with the circumstances, and obviously everybody knows what they are. I mean, it's different right now. We don't have much time. We don't have the normal process of trying to get to where we normally have gotten. And so I was telling colleagues, friends, like, listen, if I was outside looking in and I was able to talk to me, but I wasn't me, I would tell that person, hey, man, you better get that mantra in your head. You better start thinking all that matters right now is preparing your team for the conference tournament, because winning every game sounds good. And trust me, that's never going to change. But because of the circumstances, we almost have to have that mentality of how we practice, how we play, who plays, and trying to get our team more prepared to be our best in the conference tournament. I think that's how we have to think. I think it's really hard for me to accept that and to think that way. And I try to write notes to myself to remind myself in the games that that's the most important thing, but I forget it at times. But I do know that. I mean, come on. I think everybody at this point would tell me, hey, that's what you got to do. You know, any coach, any media guy, anyone that understands the game. And that's where we're at. And I'm trying my hardest to make sure that that's how I think. Now, that doesn't mean we're softening up on anything that we do, or we're not focused on trying to win games, because we are. But, you know, that thought process has got to be paramount, I think, for all of us. And we're trying to wrap our heads around that and do some things that will help us later, when we get to the conference tournament.
Chris, I know big picture wise, all the questions are like what's changing from game 1 to game 2, but I guess more specifically on the defense, just looking at, basic numbers like KenPom basic numbers, like game 1 to game 2 for the last 2 series, their efficiency was great. And the efficiency wasn't so good, obviously, in game 2 for the opposing team. And it looks like maybe offensive rebounds. I guess I'm trying to hammer down or get down to what specifically changed. Was it just better defensive pick and roll? Was it closing out? I don't know what was the specific on the court difference defensively.
Isn't that wild? I mean, it's not Wednesday, Saturday. It's not Thursday, Saturday. It's within 24 hours. The same dudes, the same coaches. We didn't change one scheme from Friday to Saturday. Not one thing. We didn't do one thing different on how we defended them. Our approach to rebounding is always the same. Get everyone on both ends of the floor. But it boggles my mind that we can get out rebounded in the second half of a game where it's a 4-point game. And that's supposedly what we do, 10-19. And that's all we talked about. I would say that's all we talked about. It's the most we talked about. One topic from Friday night till Saturday tip-off it was written everywhere. It was talked about too many times, 10-19, 10-19, 10-19, and we didn't get bigger, stronger overnight. I don't know if I knew I would fix it, I promise. But the weird thing is we didn't change how we guard a pick and roll. We didn't change how we guard individuals. We didn't change how we guarded them when the ball went in the post. We didn't change anything from Friday to Saturday because as a staff, it wasn't being arrogant going, it's not our fault. Trust me, I'm willing to change anything I got to do to help our team. But when watching the videos, like it's the right scheme. It's the right way to guard them. But we've got to do it better. And we've got to do it with, spit and saliva coming out of our mouth and fire coming out of our ears and playing like it's so like our life depends upon it. And we did on Saturday for the most part. I mean, 45-24 on the glass. I mean, we only shot like 36%, I think. But in my career and what I'm used to, like I told the staff, I go, this is a stat sheet that I'm used to. Yeah, we didn't shoot it great. Our offense might have been, just okay. But man, we defended and rebounded and we won, a basketball game on the road in that stat sheet. And then, like I told them, like if we shoot 45-50%, then we beat people pretty good when we have those other things in line. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not trying to be vague. I'm just being honest. But I know one thing, we got to figure it out and we got to do it quickly. Like otherwise, we'll be reminiscing a lot in early March and April and wondering what happened. And that's not what we're trying to do.
To do a quick follow-up there, I guess more of a broad kind of step back question. In general, if there's one stat on a stat sheet that people can look at, be it media or fans, that usually will indicate what a Chris Jans team is, like what's the one stat you think you guys need to win most of the time to look like the team you want to be? Is it rebound?
It's not total rebounds. It's not rebound differential. It's offensive rebounding percentage and defensive rebounding percentage. Those two. Because people that get, our team's winning the differential, that means nothing. It's all about available rebounds and how many you get as a team compared to your opponent. To me, for us, it's the first thing I look at. It's the first thing I look at. I don't even care as much about, effective field goal percent as most people would. It's not that I don't care. I mean, I want to be good at as many things as we can, but that's probably it's not probably, it is. I mean, the most important stat that for us is that.
Coach, what do you see when you put on the tape and maybe you haven't quite yet or have, since there was some trouble with Utah Valley? I know a program that has split their past 2 series as well. Just what do you kind of see from their team?
Man, I mean, they're good. They're good. They're big. They're physical. They're big all the way across. 1 through 5. They got size, they got physicality. They play, you know, Coach Madsen's got great energy and his teams reflect that. They're flying around on the court, and they seem to really like each other. So their rebounding numbers are really, really good. And obviously it's not a secret that, you know, that's important to us as well. So that game within the game will be interesting. I think there'll be a lot of fur flying and bodies mangling and all over the court this weekend when those balls are in the air and they're up for grabs. Because, you know, most teams, like, I mean, that's what they talk about when they're playing us, you know, and now they've already obviously made that a standard for themselves this year with their numbers that speak for themselves. So just their size or physicalness that jumps out at me. And, you know, they got good players. I mean, they got a lot of new faces, and the ones that are returnees like Woodbury, he looks like a different dude. I mean, his confidence, his skill level, he's obviously really worked at his game. He's playing at a high level. And then the Overton kid, who we really like, now he's got all this experience too. And so they've got a good mix and blend of returnees that have bought into coach and their system. And then the new guys have really stepped it up for them.
Chris, you talked about a swagger or confidence that your guys had coming out of that second Cal Baptist game. Where are they now? I mean, do they realize now this team doesn't just get to throw the switch? I mean, was that a little reality check that it's not coming easy this time around?
I hope so. You know, we were off yesterday. We had a travel day and had to fight the elements. And so, you know, didn't really talk to him too much about ball, just day off, etc. And then here shortly we'll get going and you know, have some film and some practice on the court. But again, I mean, I said last week I thought our guys would respond with the positive momentum, but I'll say it again. Like, yeah, I think they've learned a lesson. For me, I got to rely on Clayton Henry and Jabari Rice and Johnny McCants. And these guys have to be an extension of me when I'm not around. And they've got to convince everybody else in the program. And because we're trying as well, obviously, that we can't have no let up, that we can't relax, that we've got to have the right mindset all the time. And just from some conversations I had this weekend with some of those guys and how they played, you know, in my heart, I think that we will. I think that we will learn and grow and get better and hopefully, you know, carry over Saturday's momentum and how we played and again, try to convince these guys like this is the ticket. This is the blueprint. See this is how we need to play just like this. And then continue to work on our offense and let that get better as the season progresses, which is what we normally do. And then if you can, you know, keep your staples strong and then the offense gets better, you know, that's been a winning formula for us. So we got time. I mean, it's not like it's March, the last week. We got weeks still. And we're going to use every minute that we have to try to get better.
Coach, you mentioned not being able to help, starting to think a little bit about that postseason as it's coming up. With this game coming up against Utah Valley, one of the best teams in the WAC, is that kind of in the back of your head that, you know, this is one of the better teams? It's sort of a measure stick type of series for us?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but again, we're at a point now where it doesn't matter who we're playing. You know, we got to try to win games, period. And we got to play better and we got to improve. But I'd be lying if I didn't say, you know, looking at their record and where they're at, that it's not a huge series for us. But I would probably say that no matter who we were playing this week. But, you know, if I was a media member, it'd be a question I would probably ask as well. So they're big games. There's only 6 of them left right now, unless we get a schedule, Rio Grande Valley going forward. But all we got is 6 games, 3 weekends before we head to Vegas, and they're all very crucial.
All right, guys, anything else for Coach this morning?
I need someone to come here and open this darn coffee thing for me. I'm having a hard time with it, man. I don't know, my strength's all sapped up from traveling. I don't know. I'm having problems, man. I used your line, Andy. I used your line this weekend. I said, hey, man. I said, you guys won't watch this. I'm glad you don't. But Saturday morning, I go, I had to answer a question from Andy Morgan, who I really like. Said, hey, no disrespect to you, but like he could see it. Like how do you get back to playing Aggie basketball? I go, that was a hard question for me to take. Like, I got media guys asking me how we get back to playing Aggie ball. I go, that was humbling. And I go, but it's the truth, you know? And I said, it ain't like I'm the only one seeing it. Everybody else is seeing it too, man. You know, so we got to figure this out, but appreciate it. I used it as motivation, man.
Glad to play a part in it.
Yeah. We need all the help we can get, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
All
it.
right, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep. Have a good week.
You too.